It's time to feel what you've been bottling up. Life in rural America isn't easy. The long hours, the constant pressures, the demands of the land, livestock, and family, it all takes a toll. We're tough and we've got grit, but somewhere along the way, toughness started meaning bottling up emotions and powering through. But here's the truth. That strategy, it's not working and it's poisoning us. Maybe you've noticed and maybe you haven't, but the numbers don't lie. We're breaking down and it's showing up in our bodies, our relationships, and in the rising suicide rates in agriculture. You don't have to carry any of it alone. There's another way. If you're ready to stop being weighed down and start moving forward, my one-on-one good movement guidance is now open. Visit the link in the show notes to learn more and see if one-on-one guidance could be for you.
I'll carry you, you carry me, we'll help each other through it. Come on and say good movement draws good movement.
Welcome to Good Movement Draws Good Movement, the podcast where farmers, ranchers, and rural folks can grow relationally through awareness, understanding, and effective communication. Hey, it's T. I'm your host, and I, along with my guests, will be covering topics related to drawing good movement. Things like self and social awareness, brain science, positive psychology, extending grace, and so much more. We'll share tools that can help you understand why you are the way you are, why others are the way they are, and how you can use that to step out of self-told lies with grace and compassion to draw good movement in conversations, relationships, and life in rural America. Let's go draw good movement. Welcome back to the Good Movement Draws Good Movement podcast. Today, I'm very excited because I have my friend Kylie Epperson on the podcast today. Kylie is a Midwest farm wife, mom of three, entrepreneur, rural community builder, farm advocate, and engaging speaker. Through her online presence and Farm Wives Club, event, and community, she shares the real, relatable ins and outs of Midwest farm life. Her mission is to help rural women find their own power, transform rural loneliness into deep, supportive community, and rediscover their true selves as they navigate the farm life. Kylie's storytelling, infused with gratitude and humor, opens up the joys and struggles of motherhood and farming, creating a space where authenticity is celebrated and vulnerability is met with support. Welcome, Kylie. I'm so excited to have you on the podcast today. And after that formal intro, why don't you tell us a little bit more about you and how you got where you are today?
Oh, goodness. Thank you so much for having me on the podcast. I have not dusted off my podcast mic for a while, so this feels good to be in this seat talking to you today. I appreciate the opportunity. As you mentioned, I am a Midwest farm wife and a entrepreneur, etc., mom, all the things, jack of all trades, right? Just as we are as women, we do a multitude of things, but one of my favorite titles here recently is community builder through my business, organization, group. I don't actually know what to call it. Farm Wives Club is what it's called. And it is both an online virtual community, and now in 2 short months, it will be an in-person live event. And I just cannot wait for that. In addition to that, I have been a farm wife for 10 years. I have navigated the highs and the very low lows of farm life that we all, in some way, shape, or form, experience. And thriving through each of those things has really led me to this path of surrender to not only God's path for me, but just to really embracing each season for what it is, knowing that we just don't have very many here on this beautiful earth. So yeah, thank you for having me.
I'm really excited to have you here. Also, I have a lot of FOMO because I cannot make it to the live event and I'm so sad.
I'm so sad. I'm holding it for everyone else. And I'm also selfishly holding a intentional reunion for all of our farm besties of over the years of just meeting incredible people in settings like Farm Wives Club. And so it was like I took pieces of all the best things to create my own, but again, not for me, selfishly for me because I want to see all of my people again, but also for other people to have that same deep community connected experience.
When I saw the dates, I immediately looked at my calendar and was immediately like
Crushed.
crushed. But this happened in February too. You know this, that I'm part of the Enneagram and Family Systems cohort this year. And every time there's a gathering of all of us, then I have a cohort meeting, which is great. I'm learning so much and it's going to do a lot of good things, but also like sadness because I can't see you.
Unfortunately, we always have to have some like bad with all of the good, and it takes grit and dedication just to continue on the path that you're going. So you're where you need to be. We will miss you. We will see you next year.
With that, though, I'm going to ask you the question that I ask each and every guest because of a hilarious misunderstanding about what good movement is. So, what did you think? What immediately came to mind when you heard good movement before you heard me talk about what it actually is?
I mean, in my opinion, it is like moving my body. But I know that's not what you mean. And I guess maybe in a way it is,
Yeah.
but I am really focused on body health and mental health and physical health, like you name it. And I really think that in my 30s now, after years of just constant, well, I don't even know the right word for it, but just constant pressure and continuing to go, and never allowing for rest. In my 30s, I'm finally recognizing the need for rest. And again, like moving my body to rest and to really like bring myself back centered as I should be. That's what I think it is, but I know that's just not quite right.
No, it is. See, so whatever it is that people bring up that they think about good movement, I'm like, it relates because at the end of the day, good movement draws good movement and you can't force it and have it be good movement. So if it's like moving your body, like you said, I was constantly go. You were constantly on the move, but was that really good movement without the rest? Maybe not. So It's all connected. So I love hearing everyone's answers and I'm like, yep, it's connected.
Even just waking up, like I'm really intentional about the timing of my workout because a morning workout for me is way, way different than an afternoon workout. And there are some circumstances where I overslept or whatever, and I have to get it in midday. And just getting it in, again, is a good choice for me. It is a good movement that will draw good movement, but getting it in right at the beginning makes my whole day go better because if I don't, the rest of my day is spent focusing on when I'm going to fit it in. It's going to be kind of crummy. It's just going to be going through the movements versus that in the morning, my energy is high and I'm ready to just go.
Yeah. And there's science that shows that a workout stimulates your brain activity and function because it gets blood flow to your brain and all of that. So, I mean, that's a really great example of how good movement draws good movement because you get it started in the day and then it just keeps building on and on and on throughout your day.
Makes sense.
Okay, so let's talk more about the Farm Wives Club. So it started as, well, way back when you were the Grateful Farm Wife. And so it kind of like walk us through that, maybe the Cliff Notes. Yeah, the evolution of Grateful Farm Wife to Farm Wives Club.
Yeah, Cliff Notes. Okay, let me keep remembering Cliff Notes. So I had been a farm wife for about 5 years. And I have my bachelor's and master's in education. That title means absolutely nothing. Like they're plaques on the wall. And I know that I'm still using my teaching, but I did go to school to be a teacher. And I taught for a year and came back to the farm. And we together, my husband's parents, Jordan is a fourth generation farmer, and myself really jumped into expanding the farm and supporting two families. Not that we couldn't as it was, but we were really looking to grow. We saw the need to scale. And so within a year of getting married, we built a 5,600 head sow unit and ran that. And I came back to the farm to do the bookwork for that entity. In that, I had this beautiful image of what a farm wife was supposed to do. In this area, I could name off a handful of women who maybe worked until their kids got out of school just to hold on to either insurance or just to pay for the house or whatever. Like a lot of our local farm wives, love them all, have day jobs. Or they're working for the farm, like my mother-in-law. Like there was just this very structured examples for me to look at of what I would be as a farm wife. I didn't know. My mom and dad are like 9 to 5, works for the government, works construction. We had a finite income. I just didn't understand. So I come back to the farm in 2014 or something like that. We build the sow unit, operate that, have a few kids, and the sow unit burns down. And it was at that time that I went from Kylie Epperson, who shares very filtered photos on Instagram, to the Grateful Farm Wife, to kind of start to build traction. It was really when Instagram was picking up. It was at like 2017, 2018, 2019 time. And the Grateful Farm Wife felt so true. It still does. Like I still would consider myself a very grateful farm wife, because where gratitude lives, joy also lives. But there were quite a few years there where I didn't necessarily, it was like I was searching for gratitude actively. I was trying to pull that good movement to myself without like relinquishing a lot of the negativity and a lot of the bad stuff in my life. And so in 2018, our sow unit that we had just built in 2014 burnt down. And that was really a pivotal moment for our farm. I had tied up my identity so deeply in being the bookkeeper for that sow unit. And I was so prideful of the building that it was and the operation that our family was building, the legacy that we were working for, that when it burnt down, I was just almost paralyzed and asking, are we going to rebuild it? How are we going to survive? Because remember, I came into this operation from no farming background. And here I am now playing with millions of dollars and not understanding how, when something devastating like a fire happens, I get that there's insurance money. I get that that happens. It's so devastating that the animals died. Like, what's next? And how are we going to continue to build? Because in my mind, we had to build that. We had to grow to support our family. Even if the financials did not back that up, nor did the like mental, physical conversations, like anything that we were having in the family did not say we're in trouble. And yet my mind was like, all right, okay, we have to do something. So that is where the Grateful Farm Wife really came in. I saw an opportunity for not only community, because I felt very alone in a lot of the struggles that we were going through, but I also saw an opportunity for educating or advocating for agriculture, specifically pork production. There was a lot of animosity, and there still is, in the world of, do we buy pork from the store? Do we buy pork from a local guy down the corner? Is it dirt lot raised? Is it raised in a confinement building? And my in-laws have been raising pigs for 50 years. And I know the quality of pigs that we were providing, we were producing, that we were eating ourselves. And so it really was a beautiful caveat to share that. Fast forward, I went to a retreat, not like the one that I'm producing, but a retreat that really helped me to navigate this whole Instagram. I was trying to build and grow because I had found a lot of independence and a lot of purpose in sharing online and connecting and building that community in such a raw, vulnerable way. I just loved it so much. So I went to a retreat and recognized that I was more than just the Grateful Farm Wife. And so that's when I changed my handle back to Kylie Epperson, because I was trying to really identify what's next. Again, not knowing what that farm wife title, there's a lot of mental health ups and downs that I'd be happy to talk about another day through that. But whatever that farm wife was for me, it changed over and over and over and over again. And it wasn't until I really stopped resisting and understood that I get to make my own role as a farm wife that I really opened up to the gratitude and the gratefulness to allow for those joyful moments, as mentioned before. And honestly, Taryn, that has not happened until these last couple of years. It has been a lot of growing. I feel like I rode to the top of the roller coaster and then really fell down hard. And I raised on the small hills and went back down, and small hills and went back down. And I finally feel like maybe I just got off the roller coaster for a while. I feel like I can, like, my feet are on stable ground. I can walk around the park and just appreciate the kiddie rides and the roller coasters and the merry-go-rounds without having to be on them to feel the thrill and the high and the joy. And that feels magical.
I said Cliff's Notes because I've been with you on as you're riding the roller coaster. And when you were talking about this, I'm like, oh, we need to get Kylie back on in a future episode to talk more in depth about the mental health side of this. So if you're down for it, we're having you back.
Absolutely. I think I have an opportunity to share a lot of my story that will resonate with so many. That's so, like, very, like, surface level. But there is so many things that I have walked through over the last few years, and I'm sure I will stumble and fall again. I have no doubt that that will happen, but I just know that I have a support system. I have a community. I have God. I have my family. Like I have the things in place, and I have the awareness. Taryn, some of it's just being aware. And so, okay, we'll come back. Yes, I'll be on again.
And I think, yes, because I talk about this maybe not enough, but I feel like I mention it over and over again. This sort of thing is something that we don't talk about enough in rural America, and especially within agriculture, is our struggles. And I think the more open we can be about that, the better off we will be long term.
Yeah, definitely.
The retreat that you went to, was that the one that we met in real life finally?
Yeah. Yeah, it was our friend Natalie I had signed up for a retreat with her. Taryn was coaching at it and she surprised me and I almost like died on the floor because we had really grown to have a good relationship beforehand. And I didn't think you were going to be there. And then all of a sudden you were there. It was the best surprise. I love surprises.
I can't believe that. Well, I guess Natalie kind of spoiled it because she told you guys I was coming the next day, but it was a great surprise. Okay, so Grateful Farm Wife to Kylie Epperson. And then just within the last year, did you open it up in January of this year?
Yeah.
Farm Wives Club?
So Farm Wives Club, I like to imagine that it was a tiny seed on the shelf. Okay. And it was this seed of desired community that grew originally. Maybe the seed was created back in 2017, 2018, when I saw a need for community, when we see that there is power in social media, there is power in being connected. Over that same time, there's a lot of negativities about social media and addiction and a lot of surface level relationships. So the seed just sat there because I didn't know what to do with it. I had too many other things going on. My plate was far too full. I opened up a house of color business in the midst of like right after 2020 and COVID and having these big mental ups and downs and going to therapy and doing all these things. I opened up another business because I didn't have anything extra to do with my time with 3 very small kids, but it gave me a lot of purpose. And there was no room for Farm Wives Club. There was no room for a additional community that was deeper outside of sharing online and just keeping people maybe a little upbeat, giving them a laugh here and there, maybe a cry every once in a while. Like that was all I could give of myself. So after making a decision last fall to step away from my House of Color business, which again, it has given me so many beautiful things. You and I have a love for color. I mean, in style, like I know that I have impacted so many women specifically and encouraged rural women to go take time for themselves, to love on themselves a little bit more. And I feel like that was my entryway into Farm Wives Club because I saw the impact and I saw the opportunity for impact. And yet the 2 hours that I spent with my clients was not enough. And I loved that I could give them the gift and let them like bless and release, go on your way and be colorful. But I wanted more. I wanted deeper. I wanted to impact them on a much higher level and honestly get to know them more and really have that relationship. So make this decision about House of Color. Like I'm going to slow down. Maybe I'm going to stop. And at that time, I said, okay, what's next? Because again, I'm not one to sit on my hands. I actually think I'm a better human when I'm actively doing. My anxiety doesn't go quite as high. Like I can just last minute do things. That is a skill set that I have. And Farm Wives Club, the seed comes off the shelf and I brainstormed with a few of my business friends and it became a 10-month membership online community launched last fall into the beginning of the year. And we meet once a month for 2 hours. It has really taken shape as we've been going through it. It didn't have a lot of heart and a lot of depth as it stood, but I had 26 women sign up. I filled it, which was fantastic. It is, again, the once a month. And then we have online back in support via Voxer of just this continued conversation. And I just sent out a halfway survey and some of my favorite reviews from the women, it was anonymous, which I wanted. I didn't want them to feel the pressure to talk, to not be able to be truthful to me. But the consistent overview or the takeaway that women are getting are, it's so nice to know I'm not alone in a lot of these struggles, adversity that we go through in agriculture. It's really nice to be able to talk openly, knowing that no one's turning around and talking about it to anyone else. We're all strangers at the beginning. We all come from different communities. We don't know each other outside of this group. And so it's really, really easy to be raw and connected and vulnerable. in a group of women who not only get you, but they are just like you in a different place, in a different stage of life. They've been through all of these same things. So to have that commonality around agriculture has been fantastic. And then we've been adding in some group speakers, which the girls have really loved. Taryn will be one of them this month. And we're just very excited to talk about relationships on the farm and how we can better our farm and our lives, our day-to-day lives, with the tools that we attain from learning from each other in the group or from a guest speaker. So that's where it started.
Oh, I love it.
We're in the growing season.
Literally and figuratively.
Yes.
Okay, so Farm Wives Club, the online membership, and now Farm Wives Club, the in-person live event.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Do you want me to just keep going, Taryn? I'm sorry. It's just the Misha.
Just keep going because I am not doing enough, I don't think, to talk about this, but we are severely lacking connection.
Mm.
And what you're doing is building connection. Like as humans, especially after 2020, we are craving connection and not just, like you say, following a person on social media and liking their memes. That's surface. We want to be deeper. And honestly, we are meant to be connected. When humans aren't connected, they're limiting themselves. They're limited because we need connection to thrive. And so just keep talking because I love what you're talking about.
I appreciate it. It really is. And the more that I've done research and read books and dug into this idea of community and really kind of owned the title of community builder, I've been doing it for years. It's not something that is necessarily new, but learning about why we need it is so important. I found a statistic from Brigham Young University, and it said that someone who is experiencing loneliness, it deteriorates their health in the equivalent manner of smoking 5 packs of cigarettes a day. And I said this on a different podcast, and I think that's the right statistic, and I do not have it written down or memorized, but I think it's 5 packs of cigarettes a day is the same as being lonely, which I think is so bizarre, but to put it into a really tangible, like it is so needed. It should be included in Maslow's hierarchy of needs. If it's not, it should be one of those fundamental food, water, shelter, connection.
Mm-hmm.
And so we wonder why we have like kids specifically in really toxic homes or coming out. Their relationships, their level of knowledge about how relationships should be is so skewed from someone who comes from a home that is very loving and sharing of affection and affirmations and things like that. And not getting that is actually taking away from quality of life. And then as adults, we have to relearn it all over again.
Mm-hmm.
Because what we were taught is maybe not what we married into, or it's not how we want to be. I'm currently still learning how to love myself in a different way than I have for the last 30 years. Not because I was raised improperly or my parents didn't show me love. Absolutely not. My own brain didn't show me love. And so I'm continually learning. And after we get out of school, Taryn, we don't learn anything anymore, as we're not open to learning anything anymore. We're not as open. I should be very, very clear. Like we all love to learn. We all learn every day. But it's not like we're going to school and saying, let's take a 5-day class on relationships, or let's take Taryn's. I mean, we could invest in ourselves. But again, we have to weigh time, money, all of these things. And it should be something that we literally do every day is seek out, how can I foster, how can I nurture, how can I water a relationship? Like, how can I give it that love, that nutrient, that encouragement of just saying, hey, how are you today? Or I'm thinking of you. It doesn't even have to be deep. Okay. That's my lecture on community.
No, but for real, if we don't have that foundation, the logic and the learning and all of that is lacking because that is the foundation of our brains.
Absolutely. The things that I said to myself when I was suffering a few different times over the last few years was, I am the only one who's going through this. And you could have said, no, you're not. Someone else is. And my brain would have said, it would have shut it down. Like, no one knows me. No one knows my life. No one knows my struggles. Like, it's not worth talking about. I'll just work harder, do more, be better, or I won't. And I'll wallow in that like negativity, that anxiety, that angst. Horrible. So Farm Wives Club, the idea is formed. In November, I was sitting on a couch in St. Louis with a couple of my business besties. We had like a little mini retreat for ourselves, which was fantastic. 10 out of 10 recommend like going and renting a VRBO if you have an entrepreneur spirit and you want to just like work without having all the home bothers. My loving bothers that are 8, 6, and 3. I love them so much, but it's nice to step away every once in a while. And we did this brainstorming, and Taryn, I wish you could have been there with us. The very first day,
I do too. I wish I could have been there with you.
the very first day, and all of our friends are very different. We have 2 Enneagram 3s and 1 Enneagram 9. And I'm like the like bull 8 who's just like, we're going to work. Like, let's do like, what is our tangible outcomes for this weekend? We are going to work through this schedule. And it gets to me and we have these big papers. They're on my wall. And we wrote, well, what brings you joy? And I just start sobbing because I'm looking at my life, my kids, absolutely. The farm, I love farm life. What brings me joy outside of farming, outside of my kids, outside of God? And what is that? Like, who am I outside of those titles? And I had to actually pass. We wrote down these like very superficial things, 4 or 5 things. My page was basically white. And I'm sobbing and I'm like, you guys, I don't want to be rude or really wreck the schedule this weekend, but I need to go last. Like I cannot. I go in the meantime, have a therapy session because it was already scheduled, blessed because I needed it. And I come back with this refresh after this emotional release that was needed. I believe in crying. I'm an Enneagram 8. I believe in crying. I was able to start to just talk about what could be. And a lot of times in my mind, if I say it out loud, it's actually gospel, like it is fact. So I'm really shaded or guarded on what comes out of my mouth because I want to make sure that everyone knows that if I say it, I mean it. I'm very trustworthy. You can count on me. And if I say it, I mean it and I'll do it. And this idea of being like the farm life, we joked with some Taylor Swift songs, like old school Taylor Swift songs. When you think farm wife, I hope you think of me, the Tim McGraw song. Okay, you're welcome for that. But we wrote down all of this stuff and it was in November that I said, I think I want to host a one-day event. I had been to my friend Whitney, the co-host of the Midwest Farm Lives podcast. She was so courageous 4 years ago, I think it was, to start this community building in a wider, it was very wide and even it's now narrowed into really faith-based and women-focused in Western Kansas. And I thought, if she can do it, I have such a good example to read off of. My friend Katie has an event over in Central Illinois, but there really wasn't anything here in Central America, in Missouri, in this tri-state area. And it's all different. And so it's like picking pieces of my favorite conferences of all the farming conferences we've been to over so many years, and even observing the things that we don't like and really focusing on community, connection. I said, okay, we're doing this. And in true Kylie fashion, I said I was going to do it. And within like 30 days had a venue booked and a date picked. And like, I'm definitely a gut, like, let's go. So now it is. And now it's July and I don't have a lot done. I have a lot done, but there's still a lot to do. It's like planning a wedding, but I feel like it's like harder. It's going to be fine.
It is. It will be fine. This will air July 16th. So do you have tickets available?
Yeah. There is about 2 weeks left of ticket sales. I have about 20 tickets left. My hope is to sell this out by the end of July. We're getting swag stuff in. It's all rolling in right now. It will be a Friday night, Saturday, all day event. Friday night is brews, bonding, and a hat bar. I also am in contact with our local wine agency, Missouri Wine, and I'm hoping to get them to come in and do like Missouri wine tastings, which we have such a beautiful wine country here in the state. And we have just so much to offer. Again, focusing on ag, giving back to ag in our area. So my hope is that with a big charcuterie board for that evening event, almost just a soft connection. There's an opportunity to buy tickets for the 2 days or just the Saturday event. But the Friday night is like, come, just breathe. Like get a feel for the atmosphere. That way, when you come in Saturday, you feel energized and ready. And that fear of not fitting in or not belonging or feeling left out or anything like that is off. Like you can meet somebody, you can sit by them. And then we're going to come in Saturday at 9 a.m. and we are going to just really get ready to go. I am speaking and doing a workshop myself, Grow, Hoe, and Sew. My favorite because I get to say hoe all the time, but it's actually like my hoe. He's a hoe,
Yeah.
And we're going to have some great food. We're going to have intentional time for community building. I will have Ash Machado. She is a counselor. So we're going to really touch on that mental health piece, not only in my talk, there will be parts of it there, but then she is actually a certified counselor. She's fantastic. She is going to have a conversation with us in the afternoon. And then we have a wonderful farm wife panel of farm wives that are scattered across the Midwest that we will have led by Emily Rushell. And Emily will finish us out in the evening. We are going to do a vision board, which I'm so stoked about. So she's going to lead us through a little talk. And then we'll have arts and crafts time and dinner and dancing and just really relaxed social time so that you can really renew and rejuvenate before we jump literally right into harvest. Literally right into harvest. I'm sure we will come back and be actively combining corn, but that's the goal, right? Take 24 or 48 hours for yourself, go home and really be able to pour into other people. Like the goal for this is for you to evaluate, love yourself, love on others, feel connected. Oh, in addition to that, we have about 1,600 square foot covered space outside. Not that you care about that, but there is going to be shops. So I'm having a few vendors come in. So there's going to be that intentional community building time for you to go be by yourself, maybe do a little shopping if you want for yourself. I'm so excited. I can't even put into words all the things that are going to be there, but it finally feels real.
And my FOMO is like next level now, hearing you describe what all is going to be there. Also, if you haven't listened, we have had both Ashley Machado and Emily Rushell on the podcast. I will link to their episodes in the show notes if you want a little like
preview,
amuse bouche.
Yeah,
is that what the appetizer before the appetizer?
Yeah. I think the theme for the event is Thrive Through, and we're talking specifically about thriving through harvest. I'm imagining it being a pre-harvest party. Not necessarily, will there be alcohol? Sure. Yeah, absolutely. But it's not to come and get drunk and rage or anything like that. It's to come and to relax and really sit back, kick your feet up and meet people that are just like you. And if you're sitting here thinking, no one has my problems, that might be true, but I guarantee you there's someone who's walked through a very, very parallel, similar path than you that you would be able to connect with, build community with, and honestly nurture a relationship with. And if you decide to come, or if you're coming already and you're listening to this and you're thinking, I can't wait, valid, same. But also set your intentions low, whether you're able to come or not. Maybe there's a scheduling conflict, Taryn, but your intentions in a virtual event, in a real in-life event, or in your everyday life. We don't have to go wide to make an impact. We can go really, really narrowed and focused and still change people's lives. And so maybe if you're sitting here and you're thinking, man, I'm kind of lonely. That was a feeling for me so often. Sometimes it still is. I just immediately start texting people. Hey, how's it going? I was just thinking about you. No need to text back. I know you're busy. Like, hope you're doing well. Oftentimes there is text back and there is conversation and it can go as deep as you need it to go. But a lot of people just want to know that they're cared for and loved. So we can give that to receive that.
Because good movement draws good movement, right?
So true. Very, very true.
I am just so excited for you in the Farm Wives Club community and the live event. Even though I'm super sad I can't make it, I will.
We can have two feelings at once. We can be sad and also be so happy.
That is true. That's what I've got going on right now. But I do want to have like insider information on when you schedule next year's event so that I don't put anything on my calendar.
Everyone's asking me if I'm going to have another one. I've got a handful of messages that say, I have a wedding or I can't do it this year. We'll be there next year. And the goal is to schedule it at least a weekend earlier because we are really edging into Midwest corn harvest season. And there's just really no good time otherwise. But I don't think I can give it a good fair go I have to do it more than 1 year. I've already decided. So what that looks like, I'll let you know. I got to give it at least 2 years before I decide this is for me or not. But as of right now, my full expectations are it's going to be awesome.
Oh, I have no doubt that it will be awesome. Also, something that I wanted to touch on and then I lost it, but it came back to me is that it's called Farm Wives Club. But if you don't identify as a farm wife and you are within agriculture or live rurally, or even if you don't, this is still for you. I mean, did you hear all of the awesome things that Kylie has going on? wine from like it's very diverse. The charcuterie board, I'm sure, is going to have cheeses and meats and
Yeah. Someone asked me if I wasn't a farmer, could I still come? And the answer is absolutely you could. I will say that most of the personal stories will be personal growth, but also farm related. But we're not educating on how to can goods or homestead or keep the books for the farm. There's no, like what we're taking away is really all about you as an individual. And so Farm Wives Club, it was a hashtag I started at the very beginning of that OG, the Grateful Farm Wife, was to build community because hashtags used to be the thing, y'all. If you're just an Instagram, and we missed out on the hashtag trend because, oh my gosh, it just used to be the thing to get followers and meet new people. And then I that was almost the seed, right? Of like, oh, let's do this hashtag. And nothing happened with it. It just sounds a lot better than Farm Women's Club or Ag Women's Club, I couldn't find anything better. So you're right. My thought is it's Farm Wives Club, farm women / ag adjacent women. Like, even if you are your husband's he works for the local crop services, you still will get all of this because he's still working long hours. He's still away. He's still talking about things in agriculture. You're still going to get a lot of benefit. You're going to get just as much benefit as someone who is actually a farm wife. So you're very good point. And thank you for bringing that up.
So don't be deterred by farm wives. All are welcome.
And farm wives are pretty cool. So just come out, hang out with us.
Yes. Okay, Kylie, I don't want to keep you all day because I know you've got things to do today, but can you tell everyone where they can find you online, all the places that you are to connect with you? Absolutely.
My number one social media platform that I am on most every day is Kylie Epperson _ on Instagram. So at Kylie Epperson _ You can also find all links and access to me at kylieepperson.com. There is a brand new page that went live that talks all about the event. I've got some amazing sponsors that are listed on there that are supporting this Women in Ag event. And if you have any questions or need links to tickets, you can find it on my Instagram or on my website.
And we will, of course, have all of these links in the show notes for you. So you don't have to
go search.
Yeah, you can click the link. Okay, Kylie, thank you so much for being on the podcast. I made a note. We're going to have you back to talk more about your mental health journey, which we touched on briefly today. But I just love you and appreciate you. And I'm so grateful that you came on the podcast today.
Thank you so much, Taryn. I love you too. And our relationship has helped me to grow leaps and bounds, not only myself, but I just love the one that we have together. I'm grateful for the opportunity to talk about Farm Wives Club, and I can't wait to be back.
All right. With that, until next time, draw good movement. Thanks so much for tuning in. I'm so grateful for you. If you found value in this episode, I'd love for you to share with others who might also benefit from tuning in. Share by word of mouth, send it in a text, take a screenshot and post it on social media, or share however you prefer. And if you haven't already, hit the follow or subscribe button so you never miss an episode. Until next time, draw good movement.